in communication with Southern California. Channel 9 Public Affairs presents the show where kids tell it like it is. Teen Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Teen Talk. There are only 3 of them in the entire Los Angeles public school system, but they have created an uproar of anger and frustration. Statistics show they are sorely needed, but those opposed to them say they have absolutely no business being in our children's schools. They are the 3 health clinics established at San Fernando, Jordan, and LA high schools. Why have they caused so much trouble when more than 1 million teenage girls will become pregnant in 1989? I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk we've invited a panel of teens who are on both sides of the battle over these teen health clinics. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. Why have you taken the stand that you have toward the clinics? What is your stand anyway? Trinetta?
I feel that the clinic is very beneficial to the students who have it based on their campuses because they don't have to leave school and they can be more present. You know, and it's right there.
And what do these health clinics do?
They offer various services, sports medicine, you know, regular cold medicine, regular checkups, and you know, just everything you can go to a regular doctor and get.
Yeah, and what about contraception advice and all kinds of pills and stuff like that?
Yes, but first you have to have a parent consent form. We just don't give out the stuff there, you know. You must have a parent consent form because a lot of times the parents don't want their kids informed about that.
That's true. That's true. A lot of parents would rather do it themselves.
Right.
They'd just rather do it themselves. How do you feel about this, Ken? What stand are you taking?
I think that the clinics are trying to cope with the symptoms of the problem of sexual promiscuity among the teenagers, and that by feeling that they could just pass out the contraceptives, that would be solving the problem. Whereas I feel they should educate the students more on proper sexual behavior, and put a little bit less influence on them just to use contraceptives to solve their problems.
Taking from what you said, let me ask it to you this way. If premarital sex accounts for over 1 million pregnancies each year, 300,000 abortions, 250,000 unwed mothers, swelling welfare rolls, and rampant sexually transmitted diseases, why are some of you against a health clinic that dispenses information and contraception only when the people can get this with parental permission? Why do you feel the way you do, Chris?
Well, personally, I feel that, you know, through a clinic, you know, I can understand going into where people need the cold medicine and stuff like that due to the area they live in and low income and they cannot go to hospitals and such. But when it comes down to like contraception, I mean, it seems to make it easier for the people to go in there. Well, if I'm gonna have sex, I might as well just go in there and, you know, use contraception. They'll give it to me. I don't have to worry about it, and my parents don't have to know. I think as long as you're under the age of 18 and still under your parents have a right to know what goes on in this clinic. I mean, and they can counsel you, but I mean, to the extent, I think they need to more help you with it and make you understand the problem through that, other than, you know, just giving you, well, you decided you're sexually active and we think you need contraception, so here.
Okay, Abdulia?
Yes, I would like to correct you on that. Your parents signed the consent form, and we call to verify if your parents signed the consent form.
So there's a double check is what you're saying?
It is.
Okay, so the double check has been found out to be the way it was supposed to be. Then what? Then what does the health clinic do?
Oh, well, also on the parent consent form, your parents, when they fill it out, they check or whatever what you want your son to receive, what kind of services. And it has their sexually transmitted education, contraceptives, everything.
So there's a whole array of different things. Go ahead, Elias.
I feel that it's up to the parent. If the parent doesn't want you to receive such service, they could check off for that service that they don't want their child to receive from the school-based health clinic. So the parents are aware of what services are offered at the school-based health clinic.
So what do you say directly to Chris about what she said?
That if the parent is not aware of it, it's on the papers for her to become aware of it. and she knows of what services are offered.
But I think Chris is also saying something else. I think Chris is also saying that there is a kind of tacit approval. There's a kind of okayness to having sex when you're just a child, when you have these clinics giving this kind of information and giving contraceptive devices and so forth, that the clinic is kind of saying, okay, you're going to have sex, this is what we're going to do. Arthur, would you defend it or what?
No, that's a popular misconception. See, in the health clinics, we approve abstinence. Abstinence is the key. But if people do not practice abstinence, and many people do, we have other alternatives. So many people, they don't practice abstinence. So we have other alternatives to prevent pregnancies and other problems.
Well, okay, and any other responses? How do you feel about all this, Karen? What's your position?
Well, I think it's the position of the schools placing their values on everybody, and obviously their values is to say, yes, it's okay, yes, we offer these services, yes, you can come in and get anything you want, contraception, whatever, and I just don't think it's fair for them to inflict their values upon the students. I think that, with the parents and the students, that they should form their own values and make their own decisions, and like Chris said, it's easy.
Okay, well, these clinics are a test to see if teen pregnancies can be avoided. When we come back, I want those of you who oppose the clinics to suggest some other ways that we can stem the tide of unwanted pregnancies. Let's see if we can find some answers. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back. As I understand it, the teen health clinics have not been implemented as a permanent part of the school program. They are literally on trial to see if they will be useful. But useful or not, some of you here today simply don't want them in your school. What alternatives can you offer the school board and your classmates for the health clinic? Ken?
Well, I think many of the things that these clinics do are good, but I think when they try and...
Which parts are good?
Sports injuries, and if you just have a common cold or something, you get red eye or whatever, the doctors there will treat you, and it's free.
Okay.
But when they try to tie in solutions for sexual problems into these, I think that part is bad, being that many of the students with problems sexually do not have the parent consent to receive help.
You think they're phonying it?
Some of them are phoning it, and others, they said they have, 2 ways of checking: the parent consent form, and then they call up the parents.
Yeah.
And some of
Do
them.
you think they run home and then pretend that they're the parent and say, yes, I give permission to my son to?
Yeah, I think some of them.
Really?
But I'm saying that the ones that that aren't able to receive help from the clinic should be able to be helped. So my alternative is take a little bit of the money that's being spent for the contraceptives and put it into education that's going to be integrated into the curriculum.
There is a course in the LA City schools
students.
called Health, and and every student is required to take Health, and part of the health class, about 5 weeks of the health class is devoted to sex, reproduction, contraception, and things of that sort.
Yes, but I think in a lot of those classes they don't go into enough depth. They're being taught by health teachers, whereas I think, having psychologists come in and also guest speakers that have been through, have been in the lowest parts, who can talk to them, not just films and things, but having
Yeah.
those kind of classes
What
in,
I call-
would show
what I-
all the students, not just the ones who have permission to go to the health clinic.
Well, I would say enough of the plumbing. They do a lot of the plumbing
Right.
in these
Get
health
down to the
courses and get
feelings,
down
the
to
problems.
feelings and attitudes. Chris, you wanted to say something
Yes,
else?
I feel that, I mean, the more the value and the moral basis isn't taught. I mean, people need to know their own value system. I mean, the value system of premarital sex itself. I mean, it depends on you and how you feel, and you got to get down to the real problem in there. I mean, if you're sexually active, there's probably more to your sexually active than you need contraception. You may have other things going on in your life, and you're using that as an excuse. And through that, you need counseling. I mean, counseling on a teen basis, counseling on an adult basis, but not just counseling. Well, let's see, you have a sexually active life. Well, we'll solve that with contraception. You need more of like a person-to-person basis discussing things and an awareness
I
of it.
like what you're saying, frankly. I think, and I agree with it too. The only problem with that is finding enough teachers who have established their own value system within themselves, or who know how to teach values, how to engender a good discussion about values and morals and those kinds of things. It's very difficult to present a value system that isn't going to be facing one be okay religiously for one religion and be opposed by another. So it's got to be done on a psychological level that goes beyond spirituality or religious values and goes into a deeper psychological base, and that's the kind of thing that's important. Let me ask you, we haven't talked about, have any of you used these clinics at all? Are any of you a part of the clinic? Michael, you told me before that you had used the clinic.
Yes, I use it for my physical when I play football.
And what did they do there? You went in and what happened?
Oh, first I had to sign a consent form, and I took it home to my mother. She signed it and brought it back. And when I needed the physical, I went in, and the physical, the doctor that was there gave me the physical. And, it was fine and everything. It was it's like you was at your own personal doctor.
Yeah, so you got along very well with the doctor, and that's what Ken is saying is a good idea, to have the teen health clinic on the campus for that. Did any of you four use the clinic for any contraceptive or sexual information? Nobody?
I used it for sexual information. I wanted to know about contraceptives, on the percentages and how they work.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know everything about pregnancy. And they wouldn't talk anything about abortion. Abortion is off limits on school-based clinics. So what they can do is they can refer you to another health clinic. But I didn't do that. I just was talking
You didn't
about
need an abortion, is that
No,
what
I didn't need an abortion.
That's what you're trying to tell us. Okay, good. Well, it's important that, I don't know. I mean, I see it as a valuable extra kind of thing. Let me ask it to you this way. One counselor said, instead of trying to figure out why teens are saying yes to sex, perhaps we should really look at all the reasons they feel they can't say no to sex. Why can't kids say no to sex? Karen, you deal with kids a lot in your capacity as a teen counselor. Why can't kids say no to sex?
Well, I think, as we all know, it's all around us. The billboards, the commercials, the TV, the soap operas. Gosh, I mean, how many relationships do they have in a month? How many different people are they in bed with, an episode sometimes? And I think that it's just into us to say, yes, everybody else is doing it. It's okay. It's on TV. We see it. Maybe our parents, maybe our brothers and sisters, married, divorced, whatever. And so I think that we're now growing up to think it's okay, and I don't think it's okay. And I think that it's up to this generation, especially.
You don't think it's okay for kids, or you don't think it's okay for Karen?
I don't think it's okay for kids, especially in high school, and especially under 18. We obviously know that kids having kids is not a good thing.
You think we should have a Just Say No to Sex campaign?
Absolutely. They put all this money into drugs. Why don't we have a Just Say No to Sex?
It would be a good idea.
Yeah, it
Might
would
be an
be.
interesting idea. An interesting idea. The most important part of sex education is the example that parents set for their children. When we come back, I want to hear your feelings that these programs are becoming a crutch for guidance that should have come from the home in the first place. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Stay with us. Stay with us. When you become a parent, one of the most difficult jobs is to explain the birds and the bees to your children. The reality is that many parents find it so difficult to sit down with their kids and talk about sex that the job never gets done. Did your parents ever talk to you about sex? Abdulia?
No.
No.
Never. The ones that would always talk about sex to me or inform me were my oldest sisters, my two oldest sisters. But with my mother, she gets nervous. Not right now that I'm 16, not really. But when I was really interested and I wanted to know,
Yeah.
she would just kind of get embarrassed and she would change the subject.
Change the subject.
So I would always ask my sisters.
And what would your sisters do? Say, go talk to your mother.
No, my sisters would always tell me everything that
Really?
they knew.
They would tell you.
They would.
And so you kind of learned very quickly that that's the place where you're going to go. Yeah, when I started, I tried to talk to my father first, and I saw that he was very uncomfortable about it also. So I started talking to my mother about it, and she blushed a little bit, but she did give me the answers. You know, she couched it in the terms that she knew. She didn't know the terms that are used for the male genitalia and the female genitalia. She didn't know those terms, and so she had her own terms for it, which still meant I still didn't learn very much. Elias, where did you go?
I mostly listened to it from friends, and I thought of going to my father, but I said he would just avoid me and not even, listen to me. And my mom, she probably, if I would have came up to her, she would have also avoided me. So I heard most of this talk around my friends.
Now you have to realize how much misinformation you received, because they don't know any more than you do. You know?
And up to now, they probably feel that up to now I haven't went up to him and really asked him, because they probably feel that I know him more, or know enough.
Would you ever look at a book? Did you ever think of opening a book to get some of the answers about what's going on?
Yeah, once when I went into a store, I was about 14.
Yeah.
And I was,
And you went over to the clerk and you said, psst, psst, come here. I want to ask you for a book.
No, she would have threw me out, but I went and I was thinking about it, but I said, no, it's not the time, and I just left.
I see. Okay, so you kind of approached it and then you avoided it.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And Trinetta, did you ask your parents?
Well, I tried, but she avoided me, and when the time came for sex education in junior high, then she would, in a hurry, sign the paper saying it was okay. So there's a way out of explaining what really goes on. Having someone else explain it is easier on her, so to speak. So I really didn't learn about it from my friends.
Okay.
Mostly television in school.
Television in school. I can see the soap operas teaching you all about sex, and R-rated movies. Those are terrible. The most terrible part of all that is that there's no responsibility on any of these soaps. There are people in bed. You don't know how they got to get to bed. You never hear them talk about anything about taking responsibility for seeing to it that no babies come of this experience. Nothing like that. You guys go to a Catholic school. Do you get kind of training in do they have a formal program of sex education at your schools?
We don't get a formal training of sex education. We have religion courses, and most of our religion courses are based on either relationships or sexuality, intimacy, and such things. And through that, we learn our feelings and how we feel about such things.
Has it been helpful for you, Chris?
It's been very helpful. It's helped me a lot. I mean, I've learned a lot, and I've learned how to deal with things, my own feelings for the other sex. And
Karen, when you were a little girl, did you go to Mommy and Daddy and say, there's some things I want to talk to you about and get information? No?
I used to listen through the bathroom door when it was my sister's turn, who was a couple of years older. I got all my information that way.
Really?
But I thought that she brought up a real good point by saying that the parents just sign a slip and let somebody else take care of it. And I think that's the bottom line that we're talking about here is it's easy for the parents to say, let somebody else deal with it and pop, instant health clinics pop up in the schools. And you know, it's unfortunate that there's a serious lack of communication between parents and teenagers. And obviously this is the reason why these clinics have popped up into the schools.
When I was a student, there was no such thing as any of this kind of stuff. No, there were health courses, but no way did they deal with this issue. I took a health course in college, and my professor was pregnant. She was in her 8th month, and I asked her a kind of a very personal kind of question in terms of lubrication. And her face turned red, pink, and purple with the question and stuff like that. So it was a very difficult kind of time. Most of my stuff I learned from my friends, you know, and got that information. They just passed a new law mandating that they teach abstinence in the public schools. That somewhere along the line that they encourage you to just say no to sex. How do you feel about that one, Elias?
Well, I feel that it's a good thing they brought up. That way they could keep students from, keep kids from having any sexual relationship and not contracting a sexually transmitted disease. And that way they're more protected and better aware of that they're not going to contract an STD or impregnate their girlfriend or whoever.
Okay, well, we're going to have to be back in just one moment to wrap up our discussion. We'll be back. Don't go away. Got some important things to tell you. No matter how many of these health clinics are introduced on high school campuses, first, last, and foremost among a person's sex education sources should be that teenager's family. Mom and dad must be there to provide for the child's moral and ethical foundation. Unfortunately, I believe the family has been letting down its members, necessitating the need for these clinics to exist. Perhaps if the parents would take a greater role in their child's education and direction, we would never have had to open these clinics in the first place. Whether we disagree on the best way to lower these staggering teenage pregnancy rates, perhaps we can concur that the local school board should be commended for making a strong effort in helping the lives of our children. Are teen health clinics or less sex education the solution? Maybe someday we'll find the answer, but for right now, 1 million new teenage mothers-to-be each year demand that the debate go on. For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying we'll see you very soon.